What? Oh, crap. Oh, no. Let's see. There it goes. All right. I guess we're just gonna do a tile. I forgot to do the settings to make it to where I could do it on horizontal. But we're kicking it here by the stove. It was actually a pretty cold night. The temperatures got down to 25 degrees, and the winds were like 40 miles an hour, so it was pretty cold. And installed the stove yesterday here in the camper. Whoops, let me do this real quick. I'm gonna flip it around here to show you what we're looking at. So we got the stove right over here, and let me do that right there. So this is the Trekker from Kaneko Stoves. It's hiking guy. What's up, Chris? How you doing? Donnie and Priya, how's it going? What a great way to start my day. Ah, cool. Yeah, Sierra's doing real good. We've already gone on like 2 walks this morning. We got up pretty early. I got up about 5:30 because I like to get up early when it's when when the stove's going. And I actually have to. Hey, Gen X Van Life, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. William Randall, how's it going there? I was just getting ready to stoke the stove because I'm making coffee over the propane stove, but I forgot that this was getting a little bit chilly. It is kind of cold out here this morning. It's warmed up a little bit. It's about 30 right now, but the wind is really honking, and it's probably gust or approaching 40 miles an hour. The camper doesn't rock because I have the camper on jacks, but you can feel it when it hits it hits the camper. It's coming in from the front here, and so we have like a northerly wind, and the winds literally change direction on Saturday, and then by Sunday, by Sunday night we had temperatures in the negative or below freezing, because before that, I mean, heck, Saturday night I think the evening temperature was like 50, and then Sunday, last night it was 25, so that's like a decrease of half, which is pretty crazy. But let's go over here. I'll show you kind of how the stove looks here in the stove box. As you can see, all the coals in here are spent burn. So that, like, if you ever listening to somebody talk about a second burn using a wood stove, that's what that means. Because with the wood stove, all of your wood towards the front, of course, burns first because that's where the air's coming in, so that's what gets hit. And so that will get spent, and then your stove will start to go down a little bit, and you can get what's called like I said, the second burn of pulling all of your coals to the front here. So you just go in and see there's even wood like this. Let's see if I can grab it. Like the front part's been burned, but the back hasn't. So you can kind of like, if you wanted to, you can even flip that around, and then you get your second burn going. And I'm actually going to put in a few more of these sticks, and then we'll just do a little tripod thing there. I don't have to put very much in here, and it really makes it to where it gets warm quick because of the insulation that I have in the camper. And so, as you can see, that's already starting to. So this is the airflow in the front. This is what's called the damper. You have a damper in the front and a damper on your stovepipe right there, and you can control the airflow with both of them. So this winter, what I'll do is I'll do a bunch of videos. Oh, hey, hang on a second. I want to go through some stuff here. We're saying what's up to some people. Kevin Crooks, what's going on, brother? Camping Allen, how's it going, brother? Brendan Young, yo, how's it going? Flyfish and Nomad, Greg. Yes, it is coffee time, my man. Let me grab my cup. But this winter, what I want to do is I want to give an education on how to work with a stove, in the camper, because I feel like a lot of people, if you were to get an old vintage camper like the one that I have here, this is a 1971 Yellowstone camper. It's a metal frame. The metal frames are really solid. The new ones are all composite, and you don't want to get a new camper because they fall apart. And so, but if you were to get something like this, you see what I did there with the window. I actually broke that window pane a long time ago, and I thought, well, the window's kind of shot now. What am I going to do with it? But it ends up being perfect for the wintertime because I just bought a stove jack there. That's a $5 stove jack, or I had a $15 stove jack that I got from the local hardware store in town. You can get them at any hardware store. And all you do is in your stovepipe here, this is the same stovepipe that you use with the stove. I didn't add anything new to it except for 2 elbows here. So this is a 4-inch elbow. And then, I'm sorry, a 3-inch elbow. No, this is 4-inch elbow. And there's a 3-inch elbow out here on the side. Let me go outside and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So hang on one second here. And we're going to show Sierra real quick before we go outside. Let's see, flip around. There it is. What's up, girl? What are you doing? You're having a good morning, aren't you? What are you looking for? You're looking around like crazy. You want to go outside? No? Okay. So I think she's going to stay in here. All right, we're going to go out here and I'll show you what I did for the stove as far as... Okay, let's take a look at the ridge here. It's going to be morning time. But for the stovepipe out here, I just have it coming out like that. And so here is the 3-inch stovepipe, and that's actually not a legit one. That's more for HVAC. You can get a legit one, but it works for outside because outside is vented. So if this thing leaks air, which it doesn't, it could potentially, because it's not rated for a wood stove, but you're fine, you know, working with that. And then looking up here, you can see, you know, how the stove works. So it works real well. The wind always comes from this direction, and so that's why I have the stovepipe up there. You can see it's got the cap on it, the little spark arrestor. That's that top portion right there, but that gums up real fast, and so you got to clean that pretty much, I don't know, every two days, I'd say. You got to clean it, and so you got to stay on top of it. Otherwise, what it will do is it'll create backdraft, and you'll get a bunch of smoke coming into your camper, and you don't want that. So, but looking down here, you can see we've got the stove is really cranking now, which is nice. And then I got to pour my coffee real quick, so hang on, let me do this. I don't know if y'all saw, but my Chiefs lost to the Denver Broncos yesterday. Patrick Mahomes was sick, and Russell Wilson actually played good. You know, I got to give him credit. He had 3 touchdown throws. So I was kind of disappointed because I thought, oh, that's a gimme win. And, you know, the Broncos, unfortunately, have been kind of a mess ever since Pat Bowlen passed away, the owner. And I like that organization personally. I think they're a good organization, and their fans deserve better. And it was always fun when we play them, when the Kansas City Chiefs would play them, because, you know, it was a good rivalry, and it was always pretty you know, competitive. Oh, let's see here. We got a bunch of other stuff. William Randall. Oh, William, thanks for that. Nice little stoves. Look, those are great. Yeah, William, I like this one. This is the Trekker from Kaneko Stoves. The Trekker, and then, like, I don't know if you saw Down to Mob's videos last year when he was winter camping, but he has the one size bigger than this. It's called the Tundra, and they're really cool. So forks and chops. Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'll definitely do like a bunch of education about how to run the stove and all that stuff. So let's see what else we got. We got Hector in the house. So that's the Greg. Joe Teeter, what's going on? Let's see. Martin Reed, what's going on? What a gorgeous morning. It's chilly here in Phoenix. Yeah, it's pretty chilly up here too. Last night, well, it's actually this morning. It got down to like 25, and the wind was going real good, and it was pretty cold in here. I went to bed last night. I got the hot tub going about 8 o'clock, and I was in there till about 9. And I used this. I don't know if I have it. No, I don't have the bag anymore. But it's this Dr. Teal's Epsom salts that has melatonin in it. And man, you use that, you crash. Like, you totally crash out. And so I fell asleep at 9, and then I woke up at 5, and it was freezing in here. And I had all my covers on me, and Sierra was all under the covers too, but it was still really cold. And so that's when I got up, and I was like, oh, I'll just get the stove going and get our morning going. Then we're sitting here chilling. I'm like, man, I got to do a live stream and bring y'all in on this. All right, let's see what else we got here. Michael Williams, he said, agree about KC and Broncos. Yeah, it's, you know, back when Pat Bowlen was there, and then Lamar Hunt as the owners for both organizations, it was like such a great rivalry and really competitive teams that would, you know, really kind of go back and forth with stuff. But now, just recently, it seems like the Broncos, they just, I don't know, they've had so many different GMs, and, you know, Elway didn't work out as you know, and as the VP of whatever you did there. So hopefully they can get back on track. They got more money than God now. The new owners, you know, they got more money. They can do what they want with. But we'll see what comes around. See, I saw you went 9 years without a shower. Oh, well, no, that was actually 9 years without owning a shower. I mean, I would take showers in the backcountry, but I didn't actually take them that often because I noticed that if I took them every day, my skin would be super dry. And so I decided to only take showers like every, you know, like once a week. But then you can bathe without like really fully showering, you know, because I could legitimately, and this is what I do actually. I use let me show you what I use to shower. So I'll use like this bowl, which is nothing. It's not even a gallon. Well, I'll use this bowl and then this cup, and then what I'll do is I'll heat up this, and then I'll pour the water into here, and then lather up my hands and stuff, and then get my body done, and then use the water to track down, and I can easily take a shower with this and cover my entire body, which is nice. And so I used to do that on the road, but now that I have like a legit shower, let's go out and take a look at it. Now that I have like a legit shower, that actually will have a stall and a hot water heater and all that stuff. I'll be able to take a full-on shower. And what I plan to do is my friend Kevin, he sent me, whoops, that's not the button. He sent me that thing, or he gave me that thing. That's 5 gallons, and I can easily put a hose that comes out of there and then goes into the little deal here. So this is the, sorry, I'm having a problem with my little gimbal here. There it is. All right, this is the shower, and I'm gonna trim this down here. I've got some edging for it, which I'm gonna put around all the edges, but I think it turned out really good. And it's you know, I think it's looking pretty awesome. Oh, hey, what's up, Fred? You're Darren's friend. Yeah, man. He mentioned you the other day. I guess you're in the area, so we should all get together sometime. Darren comes over all the time. He's here like pretty much every day. He'll swing by and say what's up, and we chat all the time. So yeah, we should all get together. So all right, let's see. Scott, you're saying it's 14 in Denver. Wow, that is pretty cool. All right, hey, what's up, Nick? How you doing? Great Adventures is here too. What's up, man? All right, cool. And Candy Anderson, oh, way awesome. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I really like this. It turned out really well. This is all reclaimed lumber. This is actually Brazilian red oak. It takes forever to sand, and but it works well. I designed the frame to where this can actually slide off the top of this. So if I ever want to take it apart, I can remove the bottom portion. But I did keep the little metal grate over here, and I'm thinking about using this and then attaching the plastic pieces, which I have. Whoops, they're right here. The plastic pieces right there. What I could do is I could take it to where I put that on the front and then use that as the gate that I'm gonna make for the front, like that. And then on the sides, I've got a ton of extra wood that I can use for let's see what's going on. Oh, I was like, where's that smoke coming from? It's from my stove. But I've got a ton of extra wood that I can use for paneling on the sides. So what I'm thinking is that on the sides here, on the interior, I can just, you know, have wood go all the way up to the top and then enclose it all. And then I'm gonna put a hook from up there, and that's where the little shower that I have here, the hot water hose and the little thing where the water comes out will just hang from there. And then, you know, have it to where all 3 sides are enclosed, and probably do a really thick, like tarp style shower curtain. But look at this view looking out this way. Like if you look out towards the west, that's facing directly west. So I've got great sunset views here, and just looking out the way. So I'm really pleased with this. What I would like to do is make sure that I get the same stain for that I'm going to use on this. And so I want to research it a little bit and see what sort of like stain I want to use, as far like, do I want to do a redwood stain? Do I want to do a cedar stain? I'll probably do somewhat of a cedar stain to match the juniper, you know, tree logs that we have on there, because eventually the shaggy bark will fall off, and then it'll just be straight up just cedar trees, which will look really cool. And that's a really great, I really like the cedar look, you know, like that kind of, I don't know, muted burnt orange, I guess is what you would say. Oops, let me get this on here right. But we'll see. But I want to make sure it all matches. And then I'm using metal U-channel roofing for the roof on there. So I've already got the plywood on there. And then I've got 5 pieces of that metal U-channel roofing left over, and it's just enough to cover it if I cut one of them in 2. I can stack 2 on top of each other like this, and then cut the 5th one and stack them like that. And then it looks all consistent. And I'm trying to source more U-channel roofing for the back of my camper cover, because I got the front done, but the back I didn't get done before the monsoons hit, and then rain started to hit it and the sun was hitting it. I thought, well, that plywood was only 20 bucks a sheet. No big deal. There's 6 of them up there. It's not a big expense. I can take that wood off and put on new plywood, which I actually would like to do a little bit thicker plywood, probably go with at least 3/4 inch instead of 1/2 inch. That way it makes it a little bit stronger up there, and then also put the metal U-channel roofing. But I want to match it to the type of that's on the front, and that's old school metal U-channel roofing, the galvanized metal. So I'm looking around, and I'm looking online for like Craigslist and all that stuff, and I want to source that before winter gets here, because I do need to get the back of my camper all dialed in. And that way, when the snow hits, nothing will melt, you know, onto the camper here. Not that I have any leaks, but, you know, it's an old camper and things can come up. So, all right, let's see what we got here. We got Bob say, hey, from Broomfield, great game, love your show. Oh, yeah, thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Yeah, that was, I mean, it was a good game, but it was also a wake-up call for the Chiefs. We're not playing like we have in the past, and I know that we had an offensive coordinator change and stuff like that, but it just seems like I don't know, the explosiveness isn't quite there. And the Broncos have had a really tough go of it with adjusting to Russell Wilson and two different coaches and all that stuff. They've been through the ringer. So, but both organizations are awesome, and I'd love it if they both got really good again. I mean, the Chiefs are pretty good this year, but we'll see what happens by the end. But if they both got good again, then those rivalry games are great, 'cause it's such a storied history, which is cool. So, Carolyn, what's going on? How you doing? How are things up in Flagstaff? Hope KOA is treating you well up there. Things are good here. It's cold, windy. I'm sure it's even colder up in Flag. So, let's see. Let's see. You don't really need to close it though. That's oh yeah, Don. Yeah, I agree. The only reason why I want to put those walls up there is on the sides is for the wind. Yeah, because I want to use it in the wintertime. But it would be nice to not have anything around because in the summertime when you want to have the views 360, which would be pretty cool. So, see, Lyle, you're saying good morning from New Mexico. How's it going, man? Thanks for tuning in. Let's see, Joe, Detroit plays tonight. Yeah, they had a weird game. The last game that the Lions played, they got beat, and they just didn't look like themselves. So we'll see what happens. Ubrex Overland, what's going on, man? How you doing? Thanks for tuning in. So everything's going good here, though. Sierra's doing great. We've switched out our sheets to vinyl. I'm not vinyl. Flannel sheets. And so let me move this real quick. There we go. Switched out the sheets to flannel sheets, which are really comfy for this time of year. And so it really makes the bed and the bed area just really comfy. And so Sierra sleeps on that side over here. I sleep right here, and we just kick it. Let me see what's going on with the stove here. I think it went out. Let me see. We might need to put in a little bit more wood. Let's see here. Let's see. Timmy, hey, what's up, man? You going to Fossil Creek and Verde? Oh, nice, man. I haven't been to Verde in a while. I would love to go there soon. Right now, though, we're just staying here. I've been thinking about doing some trips, but with Sierra's health and stuff, it's just even though she's doing great, I want her to continue to do well. And she seems to thrive when we spend the majority of our time here. And so we're just sticking around here and working on stuff around the property. And what I want to do this week is now that I've got the shower pretty much done, is I want to get the fence done because we do have free range cattle out here, and they come on your property. And the only thing is I don't mind if they're on here because it actually helps the soil with them grazing and then pooping all over the place. But I don't want them coming up in my camper area because they will poop in the area and then it smells and stuff like that. And plus two, they have a tendency to knock stuff over. They're kind of clumsy. And so I'm going to make my fence all the way around here and have it to be just where I have got like, a good perimeter, good area to operate in where I don't have to worry about them coming into my place. And then that'll also help when I plant the native tall grass, the Northern Arizona tall grass seeds, which I have. So. All right, let's see. What general part of Arizona are you in? Let's see, William, you're asking. I'm in like the north part, so the Quartzide's way down in the winter, and it's cold up here in the winter too. I wanted to mention that a lot of people think that northern Arizona maybe doesn't get that cold, but it gets plenty cold. Evening time temperatures consistently in the wintertime are down in the low teens, and high single digits. Lots of wind, and so the wind chills can really knock you out. Isn't as much snow as other areas, but last year up here, the mesa above me, like the little ridge right there, they had 4 feet of snow, 4 feet of accumulation, like pretty much all winter, because it just kept snowing and snowing and snowing. So one benefit out here though is you don't get that deep freeze like you get in Colorado or Montana or Idaho or Wyoming, that can really, really lock you in. You don't get that out here. It will freeze, but then it will thaw, and then it will freeze and thaw. And the thing I like about that is it makes all the seasonal creeks run full time. And so if it's a good winter to where it's consistently snowing, and then you have the warm days that come through every 4 or 5 days, then what that does is that creates a slow melt on the snow, and then all the creeks run just a little bit, but they're just running full time, and it's just gorgeous. And so it's really cool. So let's see here. What have we got? I think I missed a few. See Brenda McCoy. Hey Brenda, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. See Joe. It's about 12 p.m. here in Michigan. I wonder if the Upper Peninsula is getting hit yet. Let's see, Matt. Yeah, thanks. Everything's going good here with me and Sierra. She's doing well. My health is getting a lot better too. Seems like this week I turned another corner. I used to always have, consistently, it was just always pain in my abdomen from, the areas where I swell up from the after effects of having that parasite. And it seemed like this week they just started to go away, which is the first time in like 5 years. And it's great because I cannot tell you how much it sucks to live in pain constantly, especially in your gut because you can't do anything. So, all right, let's see here. Gloria, good morning. First time. You both look well. I like what you've done with the property. Oh, thanks, Gloria. Yeah, it's been nice here. It's been fun to stay at the property and actually work on it instead of always be on the go. And I loved being a nomad, and it was great for the time that I was out. But the vibe out on the road has changed a lot recently, especially after COVID. Things just got weird, and I decided that it was my time was better spent here building this place out. And now, unfortunately, with it looks like the world events are going crazy, it may be wise just to hunker down and stay in one spot and build my homestead out. Get all my food in order. Hey, serious, I'm looking. Get all my food in order and all that stuff, and just make it to where I'm more self sufficient out here because I've got all my energy dialed in. I don't have to worry about any energy at all because I do everything on solar. And then I've got all my living space is dialed in. My water situation is taken care of. So the only thing I really need to focus on now is my food production, and then I should be good to go. So, all right, let's see what else have we got here. Let's see, Homer, you were saying good morning from northern New Mexico, 16 degrees. Wow, where at in New Mexico? I wonder. I love that area. Let's see, Blaine Whitney, that air circulation fan is sweet. Yeah, it's a good one. So this is a eco fan. What this is it has an electric thermal generator right here that powers this little tiny motor. And there's a heat discrepancy, like a disparity between this one and that one. This is actually a cooling part of the fan. So like this whole area up here is meant to disperse the heat, and this is meant to concentrate it. So it creates the little thermoelectric generator there was able to create some electricity, and it starts to turn this. So you just leave it over your stove, and as soon as the stove gets hot enough, it turns on, and then when your stove starts to go out, it naturally turns off. It's because I don't think you'd ever want to use like a electric blower. I mean, you can use them, but I always get nervous about those cords around like a stove. I don't know. I just think that there's a possibility of it melting and causing possibly electrical fire. So, see, just a dusting of snow in Utah. That far side, Jack. What's going on, brother? Did the neighbors sell that property right? Scott, no, not yet. But there's some people that are interested in it. But I don't think anything's come of it yet. At least I've heard. Stop licking, okay? So, but we're good to go. So let's see here. Great adventures. Any plans for fruit trees? Yeah, want to do peach trees and then cherry trees, and apparently apple and citrus do well up here too. So we'll see what all am able to put in. But I want to put all that in my garden area because I removed all the juniper trees back there, but I kept the pine. And there's just some spots that could possibly use some shade, so that's where I put those fruit trees. But I guess the cherry trees up here go off, and so I'm excited to get those going. There's a guy up on the ridge that apparently has a bunch of them. So let's see what else. Property looking good. Great job on Shara. Thank you, Austin. Austin, YZ man. Sorry about that. I couldn't read. Let's see. Nebraska also got snow. Oh, okay, cool. And Central Oregon's cold. All right. So, yeah, William, thinking about a chicken coop. I haven't got any. I haven't started it yet, but now that I'm done with or not done with the shower, but pretty much done. Just have a few things to finalize it. I'm gonna start focusing, like I said, on that fence, and then I do want to get the cowboy cabin done. I'm gonna just turn that into basically a garden shed for the garden, and then redo the ATV area. I'm gonna widen it. I'm gonna double it in size as opposed to just that little single stall. I'm gonna make it a double stall. That way I can have a workbench on one side and enough room to operate with the ATV being parked in there. But the back portion of the camper or the cowboy cabin, I'm keeping, and I just want to go through and stain everything, make it look cool, and then put the galvanized metal roofing on that as well, and make it all kind of consistent. So that's what's going to go. All right, let's see here. It's good to see you. That's SW. Thanks for tuning in and try a plum tree. Well, yeah, I'll think about that. I'll see if the plum trees can do it. We need to put some more wood in here, so let's check out the stove while I do this. So let me pull you over here. And we'll zoom in. There we go. That's a little too close. There we go. Right there. Whoops. As I kick this thing. All right, let's see what we got. All right, so we still have like a second burn that we can do with this stuff. So I'm gonna pull it up towards the front here. Push the spent coals back and pull the unspent coals to the front, and then throw the stick on there, and you're good. You got yourself another burn going. So what happens now is the air, it all goes in the front here, and with it not being that warm, I can do this without a glove, but you typically want to have a glove to touch the front of this here. But what happens is it concentrates all the airflow into the front here and maximizes like the concentration of where the fire will start up. So if you just have coals, no problem. You just pull them towards the front. Stack your wood on top of it. Leave your air open like that, and then now you see it's starting to light up right there. So if we pull this open, I'll show you. See how it's starting to light up? And then as it gets warmer and the stove warms up, this fan will get faster. And so it pushes more air around. So it's a really great fan. Those are called eco fans, and they work really well. I've used that with the wood stove for a long time. And if you see here, I do have my battery behind here, but it's about 4 feet back. And then I've got some welding cloth in front of it, and same with my griddle. And so what I plan to do in the back behind here is I want to, from this point here over, what I'm going to do is create a heat shield. And I've got the wood for it, and I just need to get the metal piece, and I'll put the metal in the front with the welding cloth behind it. And then that way it sections that off. There's enough space over on this side. Let me move this, I'll show you. There's enough space over on this side where this isn't going to be getting hot when I'm running the stove warm. This doesn't get hot, it's too far over. And then on the bottom here, if you see, I'm just using a simple camp stove mat. So this is one that's like a fire resistant mat. You've got fire resistant material here, and then you've got also an insert sheath, which is fire resistant, and then on the underside of it you have leather, and that's fire resistant, so you're good to go. And then I've got this up on 2 different bricks on the underside here, just these little landscaping things. So it kind of gets it up off the ground a little bit, and then makes it to where any sort of heat that goes down, which there actually isn't that much. Reason being is that the bottom of the stove gets ash on it, and so that insulates and it makes the heat not disperse as good. But there is still a downward heat, and you just don't want to get anything on your floor messed up. And so that's what I do. It's real simple to do this too, to like put in your own stove, because all I did was put in that stove jack right there, and I kind of ghetto rigged it. I just used duct tape, and eventually I'll make like a wood insert that I can put around that on that section right there and on that section right there. But if you see, I mean, it's pretty much just duct tape over there on the sides that I've got holding that thing on, and it works fine. You know, it's like, I think that sometimes we mistakenly think that we have to have like this insane setup in order to survive. And the reality is, as long as you got good airflow with the stove and a good stovepipe and all that stuff, and an outward port to make it to where you can, you know, have your stovepipe obviously go out of your structure, and you just follow a couple simple rules and just keep an eye on it, you're in good shape, you know. But I understand that, you know, the companies that sell these, they always say, oh, don't put them in campers, and, you know, don't ever put a bend in the stove pipe, because that does make it to where it can back up a little bit faster. But you can still get around it as long as you keep your stovepipe clean. You'll have good airflow through there. And you know, there are times too where there's storms out here and the wind comes in every single direction, and sometimes you do get downdraft into your stovepipe, and sometimes the air does back up into your camper. The one thing that I'm really thankful to have this year is, let me show you. Thankful to have that Dometic fan here, because if I have a bunch of smoke that backs up, all I do is just turn this thing on, and it pulls it sucks it all out of the camper, and then I'm good to go. And then when I want to close to not have airflow coming through, you just do it like that, and you're good to go. In the past, what I had to do was go over to the door right over here and open the door, and then kind of fan it all out from the door. Well, the problem with that is you still have a bunch of roof on the top there where, you know, the smoke can like lay in a layer between the door exit and the roof, because it's the hottest air up there. So having that vent fan up top is really nice. So anyway, so William, yeah, thanks, man. It's going good with this stove, and this is a nice little stove to have for a camper. Like, I'd recommend, if you ever have like a camper and you want to use a stove in it for the wintertime, for either part-time living or camping or whatever, you know, this little Trekker stove from Kaneko is a great one, because it's small, it's easy to transport. All the pieces break down, you put it right inside the stove box there in the firebox, and you're set. And it's got a little side shelf that comes with it. The damper is real solid in here. It's really easy to work with the air control on it. And I've never been disappointed with this little thing. It's actually a workhorse for how small it is. I'm surprised at how well it works, because the front here, what I like is with the damper, this thing here, you can turn it down to like really, really low, way lower than other stoves, and it will still hold a flame on the inside. Whereas Other stoves, when you turn it down like that, it seems to be like the, I don't know if the size of the stove doesn't work with it with the low damper or what, but it does. The fire always goes out, and then you're like, well, that kind of sucks because the like when you have your damper on low like that, your fires last a lot longer because you're kind of starving the fire of oxygen, is what the thing is. So you got to think with starving the fire of oxygen, there's not as much wood that's being used, and so your fire lasts longer in your stove. I've had it to where I've had hardwood juniper, like the old growth juniper, get 5 and 6 hour burns in this little tiny stove, which is crazy because the big stove that I use for the Bighorn 3 and for the Shackleton tent that I was in last year, that big stove is like twice the size of this, and I can barely get 5 or 6 hour burns out of it. But this one I get it no problem, which is pretty cool. So, DAMD, you can definitely cook on it, and that's what this great side shelf is for. Let me show you just for size reference. So here's cast iron, and then these are 10-inch skillets. And the way that I do it on here is like if I want to put both of them on here and cook at the same time, I'll take my little kettle off and flip these over, and you can kind of like work them on both like that, to where they're both on here enough to where you can cook with it. Or if you're spacing out your meal, and say you got eggs cooking in here, but you want to heat up like tortillas in here, then that's what this side shelf is for. And the side shelf also lets you regulate heat because it can get too hot over here and you don't want to burn stuff. So you pull it over to the side shelf and you can cook over on there. So you can kind of manage it like that. But I really love cooking over these because you can get, like, once these warm up, they get a real consistent temperature all across them. Then they hold their temperature too, and it's really great to cook on. And once these are seasoned too, it just seems like the food tastes better that comes out of them. At least, I don't know, maybe it's just because the ambiance and everything is cool. But as you can see here, it's plenty wide. If you want to put, or the stove cooking surface is plenty wide. Another thing you can do is you can take a griddle, which is what's back here, and you can take this and you can lay this across here like this. So you got a hot area and then a cooler area. This will warm up too. But you've got a real nice big warm area here that's like basically an entire top for like cooking eggs and bacon and pancakes and all that stuff all at the same time. So, and then lastly, if you have a big enough stove, you can actually get an insert for your stovepipe which has an oven in it. And so the air goes around it and it goes up to like 500 or 600 degrees. You can actually turn the temperature up and down on it. But you can get an insert that goes, it's basically like from here, instead of having the bend here, there would be a big stove box here that has a front on it with like a piece of glass. And then you can use that to bake goods and like, bake bread and all that stuff. And people do that in areas like I've seen them up in the north, like Wisconsin and upper peninsula in Michigan, Pacific Northwest, places like that. I didn't see them a lot in Colorado, but they're around. And then also too, like overseas, they're pretty popular in like Scandinavian companies or countries and stuff like that. So let's see, what do we got here? We got Randall Sanderson. Can you say the name of the stove again? Yeah, this is the Trekker, and it's from Knico. It's KNI-CO. So KNI-CO.com, and it's the Trekker, TREKKER. The Tundra is just the one size up from this. It's just a little bit bigger. So if you've got a bigger space than what I have here, I've got a 19-foot camper, but the box on it's only about 16 feet, because 19 feet with the tongue. So, all right, let's see what else we got here. Homer Butler, 25 acres northwest of Tulsa. Oh, nice. That's a great area back in there, man. That's actually a place I've been looking. Let's see. Damn, it makes cooking more enjoyable rather than. Yeah, I agree. I mean, cooking over gas and electric, it's convenient, because it's like boom, it's hot right away. But this is like an experience, and I'm gonna get back to like the old school days. I've been watching a lot of YouTube lately, and unfortunately, there's just there's a lot of bad news out there, and it can kind of impact you. I think it put a damper on your day. What I used to do all the time is I never had. I mean, heck, for 4 years on the road, I didn't even have a cell phone. So I would just listen to podcasts all the time. When I go to town, I would download podcasts to my computer, and then I go back to the backcountry, and that was my that was my like entertainment, and I liked that because it was much simpler. It's good long form conversations, a lot more entertaining than the clickbait stuff you see on some of the YouTube channels these days. And so even though obviously I'm on YouTube and I'm wanting people to tune in, I'm not going to tune in as much to other channels and watch the news and stuff like that, because like it's so awesome out here that I do understand that there's bad things going on in the world, but I just don't want to be weighed down with all of the world's problems and then all the opinions that go with it and the division and all that stuff. So I'm getting back to that this morning. I listened to a Joe Rogan podcast with Brian Redband, and it was another comedian, and they were actually talking about. They're like, "Man, I freak out when I think about the end of the world." And I was like, "Oh, I got to fast forward to a different section here, because I just want my life to be simple out here, and I've worked real hard to get to the point to where, the property's functioning well, it's easy to live out here now. There's no one around. It's beautiful. I'm working to beautify my parcel of land." And I just got to be mindful about what sort of information and entertainment and news I digest. You know what I mean? So, all right, let's see. Aaron, hello from Ireland. Oh, that's cool. Thanks for tuning in. See, let's see. William Rander, you're asking about what size of stove do I have? I don't. It's like. I mean, if you get on the Kaneko website and look at the measurements, I would have to say it's like 10 inches by maybe 10 by 11, and then maybe 18 deep as far as the stove box is concerned. So that's I mean, it's a smaller stove. It's much easier to work with than like my Bighorn or the Four Dog stove that I have. It's real lightweight too. Like when you have everything in there, you can carry it around, and the legs down here, you can see they kind of fold in, and they fold in, and it actually creates like a handle, and so you can carry it around, which is pretty simple. So, but see, this is Scott. Yeah, I don't watch the news. YouTube is like, yeah, I got sucked into watching some of the news, and what it was is like when I was going through all the censorship stuff, like I was watching a lot of things to try and get information. I was like, well, what's going on with this, and how can I get around it? And I just got sucked into like a bunch of different news channels, and it's more like opinion news channels. It's not really just like straight up like here's what's going on. It's like here's what's going on, and you should be outraged. And I started realizing I'm like I don't want to watch this stuff. Like to each their own. I mean, I know some people enjoy it, but I'm not one of those that is designed to be like outraged every day. Ah, Hobbit Hole, thank you very much. An investment in creativity. Ah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been fun out here to like live here, figure out how the land works, and then maximize that by building cool living spaces and building nice trails, and yet still keeping it kind of natural looking. And that's why I never bought a tractor in here, because I was like, as soon as I bring a tractor in here and start really disturbing the soil, it's going to look completely different. It's going to look like, I came in here with a blade and cut it. Whereas if I'm doing everything by hand, yeah, it's going to take me a lot longer, but I think it's going to turn out way cooler. And the proof's in the pudding. I mean, I walk around here and I'm like, man, this has turned out so much better than I thought, So I'm really thankful for this parcel. I mean, I got it for so cheap. I got this for $20,500. And now, granted, it was 3 years ago before COVID, and things have come up a little bit out here, but it's not that much, And if you got the time and the gumption to invest in a parcel out here, I like the mixture of like the cedar trees with the pine, and then the elevation's right around 6,000, so you get a good winter, but you don't get a crazy winter, and then you also get you get all 4 seasons, which I love, and so to me it's a great place to be off grid. Then like the dryness in the summertime helps because you don't get mold, so you got to think about that. Folks in the Pacific Northwest, they get hammered with mold. And that can be kind of challenging. So let's see what else have we got. I'm back in the old. See, Rick, you said I left Florida, went to California, back in the old 95 Chevy. You got 891,000 miles on that. That's amazing. Wow. Steven, you're saying, how do I deal with mosquitoes, bugs in your camper? Well, I do have screens. Let me flip the camera on here. I'll show you. I do have bug screens that are on the camper windows, and then the door here, the front door that you've got right here. Whoops, let me do this. You can see it's obviously I need to do some repairs, but you can see there's like a big old screen door in the front, and so I can kick out that the main door, but leave the screen door in here and have that to where there's good airflow. And then same with over there, all those windows. This window doesn't have it. I need to repair that screen because I accidentally just broke it. But then all those windows have screens on them as well. And so it's easy to kind of keep the bugs at bay. Another thing too is it's windy out here, and so with the wind, that actually blows the mosquitoes away, and like the black flies and stuff. They can't fly in it because they're not strong enough. And it's windy out here almost every day, which I prefer. A lot of people don't want that, but I prefer it for three reasons. One, it just makes things, it cools things off. Two, you don't have the bugs. Then three, you can harvest, wind energy. So if you got like a, wind generator you throw up in the air, you can get wind out of that or energy out of that, and that's consistent. So that's what I want to get out here is I want to get one of those 400-watt wind generators for the parcel. But yeah, it's cool being out here. I love it. The bugs aren't bad. The only time that there's flies is like during monsoon season. Once monsoon season sets in, there it's weird. If it rains, there's no flies. If it doesn't rain that day, the flies are everywhere. So I don't know what's up with that. But typically it rains every day in monsoon season, so you don't have to worry about it. But it's weird. Like as soon as it rains, all the bugs disappear. You're like, what the heck? And it's just out here. It's just the best. So, all right, let's see. We got Vanessa asking, "Hey Brian, how are you doing?" Oh, we're doing pretty good. Just kind of hanging out. We've already gone on our morning walk. Sierra's been chilling and had her breakfast and took a nap earlier. Sierra, what you doing? What do you got, sweetie? And now we're just kind of hanging. And it's really windy out right now. We're getting temperature or winds like 40 miles an hour. Oh, look at you. Give me some kisses, sweetie. You're such a good girl, Sierra. You're my little sweetie. I love you, sweetie. But it's really windy out, so we're just gonna hang in the camper today, and I'm gonna probably do some editing. I've got some more videos that I can edit up and post for y'all. So let's see what else we got here. Ghost Tie, you're in a good place. You'll be able to ignore it if you weren't. Yeah, that's one thing I'm fortunate about is not being in the city. Every time I go to the city, I can feel the pressure. Yeah, I can feel like it's a little bit more of a pressure cooker than it used to be. And granted, the towns around here are pretty cool. You got Flagstaff, you got Prescott, you've got Kingman, you got Williams, Sedona. Like those are pretty nice places. Sedona's a little more pressure just because of all the tourism that goes there. It's town has less than 10,000 people, but they get 10 million tourists a year, so that's a lot. But that's also why that town can have every insane restaurant, tons of stuff to do in town because all that tourism brings money there. So where they can have those things. What was that? Hang on 1 second. Oh. Something came flying by, and I was like, "What was that?" I thought it was a piece of trash, but it was actually it wasn't. So. All right, let's see what else here. That's where. Let's see. Do you live off the land, growing your own food, etc.? Yeah, I don't live off the land right now of growing my own food. I've started to installed the gardens this summer, the raised garden beds. I do live 100% off solar. I have a generator just in case if it rains for like 4 or 5 days in a row and there's no sun for me to get energy. But I never run that thing. And then I power, my fridge and my e-bike and like my computers and all that stuff and satellite, all those things off of solar. So that's kind of nice. I haven't paid a utility bill since 2015, which I was looking at my friend's utility bill the other day. I was like, holy cow, they charge as much for energy nowadays. That's just crazy. So, wait a minute, something like that. Yeah, I've been real fortunate, Ghost Tie, to get out. I kind of feel like I got lucky because I hit the road in 2015. I had a really rough go of it with the previous recession back in 2007. And I was addicted to prescription pills. I was addicted to Klonopin, the same stuff that Jordan Peterson was addicted to. That stuff is horrible to get off of. And so I was ready to like leave society, not leave society, but leave the corporate world and go do something else. But I went back into uh, the corporate world for another 5 years back in 2010. Once I got the pills out of my system and stuff, and I shouldn't have done that because I was so jaded. I was kind of a jerk to people in the corporate world, and I wasn't a jerk to them unless they were rude to me. But then once they were, I was just a complete ass. What the problem was is I just didn't want to be there. Like I didn't want to be in that environment. And I knew that if I stuck around that environment, it would make me sick in the long run. Like I'd die an early death from, drinking too much or whatever. And so I decided I was like, I got to get out of here. And that's where in 2015 I had a bunch of clients that weren't paying me on time, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, you guys are selling a ton of homes. I had a business, sign business, where um, builders would contact us and we do advertising for them and stuff like that. And so these home builders were selling homes like hotcakes, but they wouldn't pay me on time ever. And I was constantly getting screwed on payment. Oh, we'll get your prepayment out to you. I'm like, it's not a prepayment if you're 8 weeks late. Like, what the? How come you can't figure this shit out? And it's like these publicly traded companies, they could not care less if they screwed me or not. I remember one time I hadn't eaten for 3 days because I didn't have any money for food. I had paid all my payroll, paid all my payroll taxes, all that stuff. Everything was paid, the insurance was current, and all that stuff. But my clients hadn't paid me on time. It said on paper, if they had paid me on time, I would have had $66,000 in the bank in my own money, but I was broke. And I was like, fuck this. I was like, I'm not doing this crap anymore. Pardon my language. But I was like, I'm out of here. And so I went around to all those clients that one day and I basically fired them to their faces. I'm like, you guys have screwed me over for 5 years. You've never paid me on time. I said, I've been in business for like 300 weeks and I've been paid on time 5 weeks of that 300 weeks. That's a joke. I was like, I'm not doing this crap. And so I just decided, I was like, I'm getting the hell out of here. And I did get some invoices in the door, and I knew that I had a bunch that were due to me. I'm like, I can collect on this, and I can go live on the road, and I can live on this stuff until I can figure some stuff out, and then how to make money on the road. And I had Sierra with me, so I couldn't work just like a normal job, on the road. I had to go do something where she could be with me. So that's why I chose to do like ranch work and landscaping and all that stuff, because Sierra could always be with me on the road. But it took me a while to figure that out because I was just bouncing around. And actually, the first year on the road, I was just going all over the place because I actually had the money to do it. So I got those invoices in the door, and then my cousin, I don't know why he wanted to do it, but he's like, "Hey, can I take over that company?" I'm like, "Have it." And I'm like, "I don't want this thing. It's a headache." And then he ended up having the same experience. He's like, "Yeah, it sucks." But so I hit the road, and then that's how I was able to finance the first couple, like first like year and a half. Well, actually, no, first 2 years. That's how I financed it. Was the money that I was bringing in that people owed me from 5 years of doing business. And the crazy thing was they'd be the ones that called me, and hey, we need your services. I'll be like, okay, and then they screw me over on payment. I'm like, what is wrong with you? And they didn't care. And it was a revolving door with the marketing directors. And I had to try to get to the CFOs of these companies. It was like a total closed door policy. They wouldn't talk to anybody. I'm like, you're the ones making the call of not paying me. Like, I don't understand this. And what I thought was, I thought, I could sit here and I could deal with this. But the reality is, if a decade goes by, nothing's going to change. I'll just be older and a little bit more jaded. And I thought, I can't do this. This is the only life that I have. I have got to hit the road because I wanted to experience it. Like, I had been truck camping for a year by that point with Sierra, and we were having a blast. Well, it was more like 6 months, and we were having a blast. So I thought, let's just do this full time. So I called my landlord and said, hey, because I had a house that I was living in downtown Denver. And I said, hey, I'm not renewing. She's like, where are you going? I was like, I don't know. I'm hitting the road on my truck. And she's like, that's awesome. She was really, really stoked about it. She was like this older hippie gal. She was really cool. And so I hit the road. I remember that. I remember leaving the place. I had packed everything up in the truck. It was in my Tacoma, but I hadn't had any upgrades to it. So it was just a stock Tacoma with a topper on it. And I was driving up the hill on Lookout Mountain out of Denver. I got about halfway up and I pulled over. I'm like, what am I doing in my life? I'm like, am I doing the right thing here? I kind of freaked out a little bit. And I was like, I got to go for it. And so I just got back in my truck and just hammered it and made it to Summit County and camped by this creek in Keystone. And it was awesome. It was like that first night and then I woke up the next day. I'm like, all right, here we go. And every day I just jammed and just would go into a different spot. And it was so much fun. I mean, we had so much fun. And that's why I thought initially I'd be like, my first year on the road, I'll just spend 1 year on the road and I'll find a cool spot and I'll settle down. After that first year came and went, I'm like, I'm not getting off the road, But then unfortunately, I had some health problems, and then Sierra got cancer, and so having this property has been a godsend because, I do enjoy the solitude out here. It's helped me like people again, because for the longest time, like when I hit the road, I was not a very social person because I was pissed off about the corporate world and what had happened. And it took me a long time to get that toxicity out of my system, because I was pissed about it. And I thought, like, man, I bought this corporate crap hook, line, and sinker, and it just gets you nowhere. At least in my life, it wasn't getting me nowhere because I was in sales. And so, by 50, if you're in sales, they phase you out. Like, they want the young salespeople in there. I saw it happen to a lot of people. By the time I was 35 and I exited the corporate world, that was starting to happen to me. They were saying, hey, you have all these accounts. You have the biggest book of business in our entire company. We're going to hire 3 junior sales reps, and you get to train them, and then you can be the manager. And then all of a sudden they phase you out once they get those people up to speed. That's how that works. And so I thought, well, I know it's coming, and I'd be pissed off if that happened, So, but be on the road and like meeting people, and I'd meet people from all walks of life, and they were all cool, And I thought, like, I want to be around this more. I want to be around people like this that are having good days and aren't,
worried about the corporate scene. And what was nice too is like once I left the corporate world, I could talk about how I was addicted to prescription pills and stuff like that. Because I feel like it's important to say those things and like let people know you can bounce back from it. Because a lot of people, when you get into that stuff, I can tell you it takes you down and beats you up, and it's hard to get out of it. And your confidence is shot. But you can never talk about that stuff when you're in the corporate world because you always have to remain employable. If you screw up, oh, that person's unemployable. No, no, everybody goes through hard times. Like this facade of like everybody has a perfect life in the corporate world so that they can be employable, and not have somebody look at them as like a human that actually might go through things in life. That's not realistic. And so being out here on the road, it's great because I can talk about all this stuff and be like, yeah, I've been through a bunch of crap, and you can get through it. And I encourage people that are if you're going through that, like now I know it's really stressful times, but now is not the time to be drinking or doing drugs, or prescription pills or any of that stuff. Like now's the time actually to take the best care of yourself possible, because as the world kind of crumbles around you, which is kind of what's happening, on the global scene, if you keep your health good and your mental health on point, and that all I think aligns with taking care of your body, and do that when the times get better, you're going to be at the top, and you'll be the one that like jettisons onto the next great thing. And I firmly believe in that. And so now's the time to like really hunker down and make sure you take care of yourself. So all right, let's see here, what do we got here? Partially lose everything, much like Lee the Bee. Yeah, it was tough to lose everything, but then I realized I was like, gosh, all that stuff that I own was keeping me down. It's like that movie Fight Club. I don't know if y'all have seen that. I really like that movie. It's an old movie with Daniel, no, Ed Norton and Brad Pitt. We got to put some more wood in the fire. But it's like he talks about the things you own end up owning you. That's 100% true. Like now that I hardly own anything, I can do whatever I want, which I love. And when I was in my truck, it was weird when I whoops, there we go. When I had the place in Denver, I would always be accumulating stuff, but once I hit the road, I just stopped accumulating things because you've only got a certain amount of let me show you how the wood is that we're stacking up there. You only got a certain amount of space you can work with and all that stuff. So we're putting in two bigger logs right there because this wind is pretty gnarly right now. As you can see, we're getting a little bit of backdraft, and that's the reason why is because I pulled all those coals to the front, so it's not pulling through the back. But once you push something like this, you'll see how the wind direction changes and starts pulling through there. So you'll get a little bit of backdraft when you're working with the stove when you open up the front. But that's only if it's cold, if it's not really going that strong. If it's going really strong, your stove is, when you open up the front, there's no problem because the physics is pulling it through. But when it's really, really kind of almost out, which it just was there, only had coals left, and you pull them towards the front, there's not the big pull going through here that's already going through because it's heated up, and so you will get some backdraft from the front. And that's where that roof vent's really nice because then I'm able to, have it to be where I can suck all the air out here, which I'm going to do for a second. Hang on. All right, fresh air. All right. So anyway, but this week it is going to be cooler here, so I'm going to be hunkering down in the morning time here in the camper, and then in the evenings or afternoons we'll be working on stuff around the property, and we'll be good to go. So, all right, let's see here, Kevin Crooks. I'm working on a camper build right now. I'm planning to go full time, no man by spring. Right on, man. That's cool. Hobbit hole. If you can partner with nature, living within your means, and avoid the corporate world, you never regret it. I agree. Hobbit hole. That's totally true. So it's it's one of those things that once I got out here and I started being in nature all the time and going on hikes, and I'd meet people out that were hiking, that were happy and thankful to be out there on that stuff. That's when like I started to reconnect with people and I started to be more social again. Because for the longest time I just wasn't social. I was just on the road by myself with Sierra, and we were pounding trails. We were doing miles every day, pounding out tons of miles, and we'd go, all right, this week we're gonna go fly fish these 5 lakes, and all of them would at least be 10-mile hikes. We used to do that every day, and I wouldn't see anybody back there. And especially back in 2015 when I first got on the road, there was no one out. And so, weekdays, the weekends is when I go do ranching jobs and cleanup jobs for ranches and like help with water rights and stuff like that. But on the weekdays is when we'd be out hiking and fly fishing, and we wouldn't see a soul. Like we wouldn't see one person all week. I remember I rolled around Leadville and I'd be like, I get to fish all these places during the weekday, and there's not one person out here. Now, of course, it's changed because Denver, just Colorado in general has grown. A lot of people have moved there, which I understand. It's a great state, But with that too, you kind of lose the quaintness of some areas. And that's why I love it out here in northern Arizona. The way the parcels are out here and just the way the land lays out and stuff like that, it's going to remain quaint as far as the location where I am. The economics of it is such that no one's coming out here and getting a job in the neighborhood to be able to fund their lifestyle out here. You got to work online like what I do, or people bring their money with them. So, Danya, yeah, that fan roof is powerful. It's a good one. It's got 3 different speeds. It's easy to install these little Dometic fans right here. Whoops. Real easy to install. And then you just open it up here, and as soon as you open up, it's got 3 different speeds on it. This is the low one, medium, and high. And I really recommend this. Like, if you get a camper, you have to get a fantastic fan like this, or Dometic fan. They're anywhere from like $150 to $300, depending on the features that you get. You can get ones that are automatic. You can set them to certain temperatures and stuff like that, and they'll open and close, and the fan will turn on and all that stuff, depending on what the temperatures are outside. But let's see, it's kind of cold in here. I've got some windows open for venting, but let me shut them real quick. All right, we're in good shape now. What do you think, it's here? So she's been doing really good. She's been chilling out. We've had some visitors over the past 3 or 4 days, and Sierra's been having tons of fun running around with them. I think that's why she's like sleepy this morning, is that the past 4 days she's really been going at it, and it's been great to see her like jumping up on people every day and getting super excited each morning to go see the folks that have been here. So, but this week we're just kind of chilling, just kind of hanging out. So, Rich Hill, how's it going, brother? See, Kevin, you're saying you just saw the Max Air version of that one yesterday. Right on. Max Airs are good. So, all right, everybody, I think that's probably about it, though. I just wanted to check in with y'all this morning. We're having such a good morning here. I thought, let's just bring y'all in on it. And I'm going to get back to listening to some podcasts, and then I think that I'm going to spend this afternoon doing some editing. And I've got that Native American video. Let me show you a little bit of footage from it real quick, because I can show you on my computer here. So let me pull this up. We'll do a little preview of that video that's coming up. So what I've been doing is I've been finding all these insane ruins that are in my area, and it's from the Prescott culture. It's a culture it's a band of Indians that broke off from the Hokkien language tribes in Arizona. And let's see here, where is no ruins? Is this it? There. Yeah, this is part of it. So let me show you here. Actually, no, that's not it. 10. Let me find this real quick here. It's October 17th. This is it. All right. So this is like the video. I'll show you like a preview of it here if you guys want to see it. So whoops. I didn't realize it was like that. So there's Sierra. We're going into Flagstaff. And this is at Parks General Store, where she loves to go hang out. And this is the best general store in northern Arizona. It's called Parks General Store. It's from 1904. It was on the original Route 66 route.
Come here, sweetie. Come here. Oh, she dances.
Sierra's saying hello to everybody and all that stuff. And see, so this is how Sierra's been acting lately. She's been acting great, which is really cool. So, but if we fast forward here, I'll show you some of these ruins that I've been coming across are absolutely phenomenal. And there's over 100 Native American hilltop sites. So this is kind of the area that I go into. This is the Walnut Creek, Apache Creek Wilderness area. And this is the main road that goes in here. And I've been I went there the other day. I found all these deer running around, and they're just chilling, having a good time. And then we go into the ruins, and this is like the terrain that's in here. This is the Apache Creek Wilderness area. And this is the terrain that I've been filming. And I've probably been down there now, I'd say 12 times getting footage for the video I'm wanting to do here. This is like a real fast drone flyover of some of the rugged terrain to show you what these ruins and like where they're located and like what type of terrain it's at. And then There's springs all over the place. I've been finding insane uh, uh, pottery with like marks all over it and stuff like that. And I'm like, there's got to be ruins around here. Where are these ruins at? And I started thinking like, okay, there's got to be hilltop sites. So I go to these springs and I throw my drone up in the air and I'm starting to find sites like this. This is 200 feet across by 70 feet. Like these ruins are insanely huge. And there's a number of them. So far, I've found a total of 37 of these hilltop sites. So you can see this one here. It's thought that they only used this once or twice for a special purpose. They have no idea what it was for. The walls are 8 feet thick. This is another one here. This is on this ridge. It's actually on a private property, but you can obtain access to it through the ranch website if you apply for a permit. And some of the sites out here are incredible. Like this one here, it's kind of hard to see with this flyover, but if you look at the walls there, you can see walls. And so they're all these hilltop sites. And I want to make sure I do this video justice. And all of this is drone footage that I have for this video. Sites like this here, this is that same site during the daytime, so you can see how the walls are on it. I mean, a massive amount of effort to put into these sites. And what it is they're astrological observatories, ritual sites, habitation sites, defensive sites. So it's not just for war; it was actually for living and things like that nature. There's compounds and plazas, and I mean all these different things. Let me show you here. So here's like an example of how these ruins are positioned, and this is the terrain around. So they're all in these hilltop areas. I mean, massive sites. And the crazy thing about it out here is that these sites aren't really studied that much because the archaeologists, when they first came over here in 1904 from Sedona, they dismissed these as part of the Sonagwa culture that's also in Sedona, but it's not. It's a different culture. It's called the Prescott culture. So it's a completely different culture than what was over in the Sedona area. And these people, there's a guy and his last name is Collette, and he's the archaeologist and also the person who was in charge of the Prescott National Forest Heritage Program for like the last 2 decades. He says he goes to these different international archaeological conferences all over the world and says like, hey, I live in this area where there's these insane ruins and there's like over 100 of these massive hilltop sites. It's the best architecture in all of North American continent. And these people are like, oh yeah, whatever. Like they want to go to like Chaco Canyon, they want to go to Mesa Verde. They don't want to go to a site out here that doesn't have as much, knowledge. But there's only been 4 archaeologists that have legitimately studied the Prescott culture. And type in Prescott culture online in YouTube. Nothing comes up. You type in Prescott, Prescott, culture, and you'll find nothing. What you'll do is you'll find modern day Prescott stuff. But if you type in Prescott Native American Indian tribe, you won't find anything. Here's another site that this one actually is more of a compound site, which shows internal habitation. But if you zoom in here, I fly the drone up to the walls here, and you can see just how these walls look. A lot of stuff has fallen down, a lot of rubble. Only 17 of these sites have been excavated. There's stuff all over out here on these sites, and they're pretty impressive. I didn't realize how big this one was until I started flying around. And then you can see just the effort of all these walls. A lot of it's fallen down, but there's lots of internal structures too. And look at the amazing views these folks had. Every single one of these sites is like this. I've found 37 of the 100 sites so far. They're all like this. They're insane. They're huge. So if you come around the backside here, you'll see the backside of the ruin. So there's a whole another section back here that was built. And I think about the effort involved in this, and you just think like, what an amazing culture of people. Like they had insane pottery, insane jewelry, and like these killer sites that when you go up and you see the views, you're like, dude, I'd live here right now. This is insane. Like this is such cool stuff. You can see, I want to pause something real quick here and go back and show you. So this is kind of like a good site to where you can legitimately see more ruins down here. Then you've got this whole ruin site here. I've found 4 additional ruins all around this hilltop site with my drone. And I haven't hiked to a bunch of them just because Sierra's with me. And up until now, the temperatures have been hot, and so I don't want to leave her in the truck. But she can't hike to these sites. These are too hard to get to. And all of them are definitely hilltop, hard to reach sites that take effort. Now this next site, I want to show you this. This is incredible. This is along a river area, And we're actually going to fly to this little area right here. This is an amazing ruin for a couple of reasons. Number one, there's cliffs like this on all three sides, and there's only one way to access it over here with one little tiny door area. And then we're going to zoom in here just a second and show a little bit more. So we're coming down on it, and it's starting to come into view. You can start to see like edges around here. And then I want to point out some additional features of this, which I think are pretty spectacular. So as we fly overhead, you start to come into play here. You start to see like walls here. There's like it looks like a big rectangle. There's a wall in the center here. There's a big outer wall here, a big outer wall that comes around this side. And see how it drops off on all four corners and the river starts right here? So they had access to water. This is considered a plaza and a residential area, and I'll show you why. So we come in here. I'm going to pause. It's kind of hard to see, but I'll highlight this in the video. What I'll do is I'll freeze frame this, and then I'll point arrows to stuff. But you can see there's like walls here. There's actually 4 rooms here that look like habitation sites. And then there's a big plaza right here, a big plaza area for performances and gatherings, ritual ceremonies, all that stuff. And same with another plaza here. So there's 2 plazas and a residential area. With that, the walls out here are built of basalt, which is a dark color stone. However, the top part of it is lined with this white stone, and same with the residential areas. So there's some more footage that I have. Let's see. This kind of shows it in good detail. You see how the bottom part of the walls, it's all that brown rock, and the top part is all white. The same goes for the habitation site, which is back over in this area. It has the brown walls on the bottom with the white on the top, which signifies somewhat of importance. So they think someone lived there, maybe priests or a royal family, something like that. And then you look around here, there's all these cliffs where people could gather and watch performances from here and watch any sort of rituals that were going on. So this was like a performance area for these people. These sites are everywhere along this river corridor. Actually the rock here, this is good. You can see it right here. You can see the habitation site here, how it's all white. The rock for this was actually taken from a hilltop site that's 2.5 miles away that was also considered an astrological observatory. Now, I've got that footage next, I think is what's coming up next. Let me see. Yep, this is it. So at the top here, I flew my drone over here because I was like, that is an amazing geologic feature. I'll bet you there's something up there. So you get over to this site, and it comes into view. You can start to see these walls that are down here. And at the top of it, there's all this white rock, and that's where they mined that rock to bring it over to that ruin and put it on top there. So this is an amazing area, and I have so much more to find when coming here. You see the walls right here? But this is all sloped down, and then at the top, back over in this area, which I didn't get much footage of it, there's a bunch of area where there's white rock. Back over in this area where they could take that rock and it's actually, you can see areas around it where it was mined and then brought down into that area. Now also, I do think this was probably an astrological observatory spot up here, because when we come around this side, you can see when we pause here, it kind of looks like a natural platform that's up here on the top. So let's go around. So see how there's walls right here, but then there's this platform up here that's like natural. The views in every direction are completely unobstructed. And so that's what they would use for astrological observatories up here. That would be one where you have to have an unobstructed view of the skyline. And there's like 10 of these in the area that are like this. So pretty cool stuff out here, and amazing structures. There's another one that I came across. You can't really tell until you get up top of it. And then look at all these amazing rooms that are in here. There's a whole backside to this structure that's falling down, but there's massive rooms that go all around. There's all these alcoves. And same with this one, on a hilltop, hard to get to, but near resources where you get it. You can see that one peak in the background there. But see, looking down on this, and this is huge. This is like 200 feet by like 90 across. Or like 200 feet by like 70 across. It's crazy. And all these exterior rooms outside of it too. So pretty impressive stuff. And I want to make sure that I do right by these videos and put on, or put a lot of information into it so I can tell people what they are, and not just like, hey, check out cool ruins. Like, I've been doing a lot of research on this, and I've watched probably about 10 hours of different online presentations that were given by different archaeologists about the area, about the geology of the area, about different stuff, and so that way I can put all this together and present it, because I want to present it in the best way possible. There have been a few people that have come out and found one or two ruins, be like, wow, neat, and they've put videos up on YouTube, but they're like, we don't know anything about these people. Well, I'm fortunate to have come across people that do know about it, and I want to include those presentations in the video description when I do this, and put this video up. That way, if people want to learn about it, like, I think this stuff is fascinating. I think it's really, really cool, and so and it's in an area where not no one goes. It seems it just no one really knows about it. It does take a lot of effort to get up to these, and it's a lot of effort to find them. So that's what keeps them quaint, I think, and also too, the terrain down there is so rugged that you have to have 4x4. You have to be willing to hike long distances, like stuff like that. And a lot of people just, that's not their thing. So, see, Curtis D, what's going on, man? The Hobbit hole, just amazing. Yeah, it's just so cool, all this stuff that's out here. And I mean, the sites that I'm finding, there's so many. Let me actually let me do this. I'm gonna pull up my Google Earth. So I used two different things online to look for these. I'll use just Google Maps, because you can do satellite, and you can do 3D, so you can see hilltops and stuff like that and try to find stuff. But I also use Google Earth Pro because the resolution is so much better. And then you can take you can also too, if you go to areas that have like springs, like throw your drone up in the air and you can probably find sites and stuff like that. So, but the Google Earth Pro, I want to show you how many spots I've found. There's a lot. Oops, let's see. All right, so here we've got Google Earth Pro, and okay, I'm not really care for that. And then we'll go in here and I'll show you all the sites that I'm finding. Now I've just kind of nicknamed these sites. I have no idea what they are, what their real names are. Actually, I am starting to find what some of the site names are. But all the ones that are on here are not the site names of what is out there. I call this one Alien Spaceship Ruins right here, and I want to show this one to you. So we'll zoom into this, because I think it looks like a spaceship on top of a mountain. But there it is. It's a big triangle, like huge triangle with walls that are like about 8 feet thick, which is crazy, on the top of this huge peak. And if I back out here, you'll see how many sites there are. Everything with a yellow pin is a site that I've found so far. So as we back up, and I live right here. And so all I do is cross this mountain range and go down some really cool Forest Service trails, and I'm there. And this whole area here and this whole area over here all has springs. And so those springs have it to where, sorry, I didn't realize it was glare. This area here and this area here all have springs. And so what I do is I'll go to those areas, find the springs, throw my drone up in the air, and then fly around to the hilltop sites, and that's how I'm finding these. And then I'll hike up to them. And I've done one video on them so far. And it's the one that I was in over by Pine Creek, which is pretty awesome. Let's see here. You were asking D. Youngbluth what tribes were in that area. It was a very little known tribe called the Prescott culture. And what it was an offshoot of the Hokan language tribes from California. The Hokan language tribes were the archaic tribes, meaning they were the tribes that were around before the current, Indian groups were established, like the Apache and Yavapai and all that stuff. So they were the precursors to it. They were like the same as like the Fremont Indians or the Anasazi. Everybody's heard the Anasazi. That's the same period. So anyway, in 200 AD, a band of Indians broke off from the Hokan language tribes and came east into Arizona. And they started out this one mountain that's called Mount Hope, which is this big old mountain right here. They went, I was trying to show that to you. They went to this big old mountain right here and then broke into the three areas. One went up into Big Chino Wash, one went through Walnut Creek, and one went through Granite Creek, which is in Prescott, at the town of Prescott. And so all through those areas, you can see a pattern of all these ruins snaking through this area. And they started in 200 AD. And 200 AD, they started building pit houses, which were the ones that were in the ground, and then you put stones around, or wood, you know, to hold the walls, hold the earth back. Then you'd have a roof structure where you'd hop into it. Then about 900 AD, for the next 100 years, they slowly transitioned to building these massive hilltop sites. And the hilltop sites were, like I said, they weren't all for defensive stuff. I've been making notes on this, and so some of the notes that I have, let me tell you, of the type of structures that are out there. So let's see here. The majority of literature out there assumes the primary purpose of these structures were for conflict and defense. However, in viewing the astounding number of sites, it is clear there's too much diversity of form to relegate their function to just one particular activity. Which meaning if everything was just for defensive purposes, everything would have similar features. These are all different. And so what I've found is I've found the hilltop sites. They're ritual architectural, ceremonial architectural, compound architectural, courtyard settlements, and astrological observatories. There's also been structures that are found that which they think were infirmaries, like somewhat like hospitals, also places where women would give birth. And then religious sites to where they always open to the east, and they're crudely created, but it's basically a prayer area. You also can find straight line walls, and they all line up with the San Francisco Peaks, which was considered a sacred spot, and considered like they're kind of like where the gods lived or whatever. And then last thing is they found structure of lattice roof structures over these really crude small sites that seemed to have bird feathers in them, and they thought, what's this? And what they realized they were sites of where they would harvest eagle feathers, because eagle feathers were considered sacred, and a lot of their headdress and ceremonial wear for religious stuff. So what they would do is they would put meat up there for the birds to come in. They would land on the lattice. They grab the foot and pluck a feather real quick and let it go. They wouldn't kill it. They just let it go. And I don't know who would have enough guts to do it. I've seen a golden eagle up close. The claws are, they're like Wolverine claws. They're crazy. They're huge. And then, their beaks on them too. Those are powerful birds. They're anywhere from 6 to 7 feet across the wingspan. That's crazy. And so, but it's amazing what's out here. And some of the stuff like, for example, I did find information on some of these. It's interesting though. If you type in like Molly G compound ruin site, you'll find nothing. But there's one of them called that. And that's actually the one that's on the National Historic Register, which help archaeologists determine who these people were. But for example, it says Molly G compound consists of a basalt outcrop on top of limestone, basalt walls with a special effort to make sure the top layer is limestone, big plaza area, which could accommodate a large number of performers, an interior 3 or 4 room block used for habitation, made out of the same limestone which topped the basalt walls, suggesting people of importance lived here. That was that hilltop site that was around the river area. So, it's cool finding this stuff, but I have been digging and digging and digging to find information, and it's taken me forever. I've found a couple really good online presentations by like Peter Pillis and a few other really good archaeologists that are very well known for their contributions to Native American archaeology and and heritage sites and stuff like that. And that's what I'm learning from. But there's nothing else out there to go find this. Like, you got to go find it all yourself. So let's see. Just tried to find Google Earth Pro on App Store and didn't see it. Martin, I don't know. I think maybe if you just type in like Google Earth Pro and see if maybe you can download it from Google Chrome, that would be cool. So, Darren, what's going on, man? Here in Slid Moon, cold as hell last night. Yeah, I know. It's pretty cold here. I got my stove going on this morning. I've already got the stove installed here in the camper. And so we've been burning some juniper this morning in here. I got some old great juniper that's going. And, whoop, there we go. A little bit of backdraft, but it's all good. Get this going right here. So as you can see, it wasn't started there. It started up when I opened up the door, but that's because the air went in there and then it carried that backdraft. Now that the stove is going a little bit, I can open this, and well, there's a little bit of backdraft, but not too bad. Let's see. Get the airflow going. Move this around a little bit. That's what it is. All right, let's let that go a little bit. So, all right. But anyway, so that's the next video that I'm going to do. Well, I don't know if it's the next one I'm going to do. I keep finding more and more information to add to the script for it. But I definitely want to get that video out, and I'm going to be doing more and more of these because now that I'm here and this is my backyard and there's no one, literally no one out when I go to these areas, you know, I want to be able to showcase this, and I'll be respectful, not giving out the locations. Excuse me, I got the burps. I'll be respectful and not giving out like the GPS locations and stuff like that because I think a lot of the fun when it comes to Native American ruins is finding them. And one of the gals that I met that knows the area real well, she's like, "How many have you found so far?" I said, "I found 37." She's like, "Well, there's 100 total." She said, "So, you know, go ahead and keep looking. You'll be busy for a long time." I'm like, "Sweet." So, all right, let's see what else have we got here. Yeah, it's only desktop, Martin. It's not, you can't get it on phone. So, nice. Can you smoke? Would you? Um, yeah, not really, Darren. I don't think you could smoke because of the way the flavor is with it. So I've never tried to smoke food with it, but I've never heard of anybody using juniper for that. More like mesquite and stuff like that is probably the wood that people would use for it, I would think. One more thing I want to show y'all, the map of where like the ruins that are in my area here. Let's see here. Is this it? Yeah. So here is a map showing the Prescott culture, and the Kohonina, and the Mogollon, and the Patayan. Okay, so let's see, slap out Mr. Muskie. All right. Do you have Starlink? Yeah, Randall, I've got Starlink for my internet. So, Martin, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So this shows you right here all the massive hilltop sites that are in my area. This is the Prescott culture. This is the Patayan culture and the Kohonina, the Sinagua. This Sinagua is where the Sedona stuff is. But the Mogollon is getting down to where it gets closer into the Phoenix and like the Valley area. But the Prescott culture is right here. The Coconino Rim is right here. San Francisco Peaks are right here. The reason why you will find very little to no structures in the Kohonina and the Patayan areas is because those people were 100% nomadic. They didn't build structures, but there are massive obsidian sites and like all these stone tool sites dotted all over these lands, which is crazy. But the Prescott culture, where I go, essentially is right here. This is all the area where I go, right there, and then right here is where I've been going to. I haven't gone down to the southern area here yet to start looking for things, but I have found things over in this area. This is Agua Fria, which is a national monument. So that shows all the hilltop sites, and you can see. Let me zoom in here. You can see how many there are. I mean, there's tons of them. You know, I'll be busy for the rest of my life looking for these sites. And there's some that I've found that are so far off trail, and there's no trail to get there, so I'm going to have to figure out how to go to these spots. But I'm really excited. I think it's going to be amazing. And yeah, it's going to be incredible. So let's see. Gen X Van Life. I'm south of I-40. So I'm south of I-40. My parcel's about 10 miles south of I-40, roughly. So, oh, and somebody was asking about the video quality. So this is really cool. I just got a new phone that a person who watches the channel who wants to remain anonymous sent to me. He works with an overstock company, and they had an extra iPhone 13 sitting around. So he sent it to me because my other one was broken. I haven't been able to make calls or check text messages on my phone for like 3 weeks. I could get a little through my computer, but only if people were on iOS. If they're on Android, I couldn't get those messages. But that's why the picture quality is so much better, is because I'll be using this now for all of my like live streams and all that stuff, and also for video. And it's a lot better. The cameras on them are better too. It's amazing the difference between the 11 and the 13 Pro Max. So now that I've got this phone, we'll be using this for stuff, and I'll be doing a lot more live streams and a lot more videos. It was hard to film with like my GoPros and all this stuff to go back to that after being on the phone, because the way it is, I've got like the DJI little handheld gimbal that works great with the phone. It's so easy to film with that. Then I can easily just transport those files over to my computer and jam. So, and then with the GoPro, it wasn't working as well, and kind of had a bunch of other stuff going on. So that's why I didn't put up a bunch of stuff lately. But now I'm gonna be putting up a lot more. So, but anyway, I just wanted to show you that map of where all the sites are located around me. I mean, look at all those red dots, and I've only found 37 of those so far. There's 100 massive hilltop sites, and there's 200, and in total there's 240 sites in the area, which is crazy to think that there's that much in the area. So, All right, everybody, we're gonna log off now. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of the morning with Sierra, and then this afternoon when the temperatures warm up a little bit, I might try to get outside and do some stuff. It's only supposed to be 55, a high today at 55 here with winds up to 40 miles an hour, which can be kind of chilly. So we might just kick it inside all day and just make food and kind of hang out. But thanks everybody for tuning in. I'll be doing a bunch more of these in the morning, especially with the stove. Once it gets cold enough to where I'm cooking in here every morning, we'll do a bunch of fun breakfasts over the stove and kind of hang out. So thanks for tuning in. Hope you all have a great day, and we'll see you in the next live stream. And we'll send you out with a little bit of Sierra footage. What's up, Sierra? What you doing over there, pumpkin? You just sleeping? Oh, you're tired, aren't you? Just stretch. Oh, just stretch. All right, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Talk to you later.